Welcome to the Bearded Finisher Podcast, your one-stop show for all things finishing and coatings. Your host, Zach, and a variety of industry experts will guide you through the art of perfecting your finishing and business game. From seasoned pros to fresh faces, get ready for tips, tricks, and trends to elevate your knowledge and business to the next level.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bearded Finisher Podcast. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. We are going to jump into digital marketing. I've got Mr. Josh Acasio out of Miami, Florida with us, who specializes in that sort of thing. What's going on, Josh?
What's going on? How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. Enjoying the weather. How is it down there with you guys?
Awesome. It's hot as always out here, but we're making it work.
There you go. I mean, we're here in Texas, so I think yesterday was like 102.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's not that hot over here. Thank God.
It sucks. I mean, I love Texas, but this weather it's a real kick in the gonads. But, let's just kind of kick it off. Let the listeners and let the community know kind of how you got into marketing, where your background comes from, and a little bit segue that into the company and what you guys do.
Okay, perfect. So I run a company called Iron Media Solutions. This company started about two years ago now. The way that I got into it was that I originally was making TikToks when I was in high school, and I was becoming super viral with it. So I was talking to girls on the internet, just for context. And after I got millions of views that way, I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm becoming viral, but I'm not making any money off of this. Like, what can I do to gravitate money towards me with the same skill set that I have of getting attention? So I stumbled across an ad on Instagram and Facebook one day when I was like 18 years old. And the ad was talking about Facebook ads. And I was like, okay, like, what's this about? Like, I've seen this a lot, but like, what is it? So I do some more research on YouTube, and I'm looking towards like what it is that I can do in order to make this successful for me. So I'm like, okay, sick. Like, if I help companies make content and then I use it as an ad in order to generate sales for them, I could get paid off of that. I just need to know how to do it. So my parents were going back and forth with me about college as soon as I left high school. And I was like, look, I don't think that this is the way that I want to go. Like, I have a plan of what I want to do. I just need time to prove out my plan in order to make sure that I can sustain myself. So my mom was like trying to convince me to go to college, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, listen to me. Give me like 6 months. And within that time frame, if I show you that, hey, like, I'm being lazy, I'm not doing anything, then send me to college. Like, I will be happy to do what you like. So she was like, okay, fine. So after this, on the 6th month, my parents have a Shopify store. So on the 6th month of my trial, I was trying to figure out how to run ads for them in their store. And then I ended up making them $22,000 in 1 month on the 6th month of my time trial. So they were like, oh shit, like he doesn't need to do this anymore. But the point of the matter was that I proved that I could do it. Now I just need to make money off of it because, I'm not charging my parents. I'm like trying to figure this out with their stuff. So I'm like, okay, let me see what else I can do. So I start going to events for marketing. I start going to find other mentors. I start buying courses. I start just investing all my money that I saved from being a detailer prior to just dedicating myself 110% towards this. So that is how I basically got started in the digital marketing space. And then time goes on. I then end up being able to move with one of my mentors for 6 months. So during that time period of me being a media buyer for that company, I was managing over 250 accounts, and I spent well over $16 million on paid ads within that time frame, because not only was I managing my own money on the accounts, but I was also managing 7 other media buyers as well. So there were 7 people under me that I also had to teach my skill set to and manage the money that they were spending across the client's accounts. So that's how I was able to pick up my skills and knowledge really, really fast and be able to acquire the things that I want to acquire, like within a year time frame. Like I was forced to learn everything super fast because I transitioned from being my own person inside of a company to managing people, and you have to learn really fast. And then on top of that, when you have your mentor, they're able to point you in the right direction of what to do in order to become a successful leader and be able to demonstrate your core understanding of things to people that don't have the same vision as you do. So these are all things that happen throughout the years. And now, after a certain amount of time, when you live with your mentor and you see all the success that they have and the things that they're doing, you're like, damn, like I could do this too. So I ended up starting my own company, and then, little by little, I started building up my ecosystem of clients, and now I have Iron Media Solutions.
So it kind of help people understand I talk to guys about this all the time on the podcast and just in general, the importance of having a mentor / coach and how that shaped how you ran your business.
I am a strong believer now that if I would have started my business without having anyone to teach me anything, then I wouldn't be in the position that I am now, because I was able to skip the learning curve by understanding someone else's business before starting my own. So if you want to jump the gun and just think that you're going to do it, like you can do it. But if you think that you can't get knowledge from someone else to know how to skip a learning curve within your own business, then that's just arrogance at that point. Like it's strictly understanding that you suck in the beginning and that someone else is better than you, and then positioning yourself to be a student mentality and then becoming the master eventually. And that's like the most important thing, is that you want to learn as much as possible first before just like running off the ground, because that's just going to teach you so much more than just having your own mistakes when someone else already had those mistakes and you don't have to repeat it again.
Exactly. I mean, even if you've been in the business for 2-3 years, I mean, getting hooked up with someone who's been through it and the ups and downs is going to change the aspect. I mean, change the direction, help you go from what took them 15 years. They can help you do it in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
5, shorter amount of time
possibly.
Yeah. So, because this process of my mentor took him about 3 years, and within my first year, I was already where he was at year 3. So it just shows you that the things that you learn from their mistakes, and they tell you, hey, don't do that. And on top of that, if you have a really good relationship with your mentor, they'll pour into you after you're done coaching them too.
Yeah.
But the only way that someone's going to pour into you, I was just talking about this the other day, if the only way that someone's going to pour into you is if they give you a piece of advice and then you follow through with it, and then they're willing to give you more knowledge. But if you're just taking the information and not doing anything with it, then you're wasting their time, and therefore they don't feel like pouring anything into you. They're just like, I told you what to do, but you're just not, you're not doing it. And then you're telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I relate it to a book that I read by a guy named Ben Hardy, and he talks about relationships, types of relationships. And he talks about one that's a transactional relationship, which is, I pay you, you give me, that's it, we're done. You trade A for B. Or there's transformative relationships, which transcend transaction, and it's a back and forth. And that's where you want to go with a mentor, in my opinion, or a coach, whichever one and whatever label it has. But if you get that transformative relationship, then it goes beyond the period of the coaching or the mentoring. I mean, you guys, you probably now, I mean, you're in it, 2-3 years, you probably still bounce stuff off your mentor all the time, and there's nothing there. It's just 2 colleagues.
Oh yeah. It's at this point, I would say like we're but really good friends, because the amount of things that I have, so many different now mentors that I have because of the same attitude that I give towards whatever I'm doing that they give me advice on. So it just, you're right, it does transcend into like really close relationships, because they're like, damn, like Josh isn't a waste of time. Like he's he's doing the things that I'm telling him to do. He's not questioning it. He's not questioning my knowledge. He's just like, you know what? This is a different perspective. Let me at least try it. And if it doesn't work, then come back with the knowledge that I have after I tried something. And then that corresponds to them inviting you over, to them taking you out and going to dinner, smoking a cigar together, and just talking about business. And it's like, all my friends, all we talk about is literally how to grow and how to get better. And that is the reason why most people don't excel, is because they don't have that community of people around them. And the only way you're going to get to that is if you just try. That is it.
You got to try and not quit. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that's another big one. Don't quit. Let's kind of segue into the importance. Like, you've talked to people, you work with guys who've never done advertising, maybe have done a little bit of advertising on social media. And from when I was in business, I mean, Facebook and Instagram were out, but they weren't extremely popular. I'm talking 5 years ago when I had my company. And marketing and advertising on those platforms wasn't huge. I think it was just kind of coming in. People were just starting to do it. And now it's just exploded. But kind of help the community and the contractors out there understand the importance of social media marketing versus other types like Google paid ads or TV commercials or football field banners. You know, what makes social media marketing that much better?
So I recommend going to Facebook and Instagram first before you go into other avenues. So the process that I like to lay out is to go Facebook, Instagram first, because that is the easiest stepping stone to scaling your business to $50,000 to over $100,000 a month, right? And then after you do that, then the most beneficial thing is to go into other avenues, because then you have more money to play with for advertising. But if you're just in the beginning stages, this is what I recommend. And, you know, a lot of guys specifically in this industry, whenever they spend a little bit of money and they don't see any result, it's not because you suck. It's just because of the angle that you're coming at with your advertisement. And you just need to understand that whenever you're running your own paid traffic. So the reason why social media is the best, to answer your question, is because whenever you're running your ads, you can demonstrate your personality inside of the ad. Like, people can connect with you on social media based off your persona and who you are. And a great example of this is my client Mike that you recently interviewed. When we were first starting, we were doing before and after images, and his cost per lead was insane. It was like super high. And he was like, Josh, like, I don't know how to lower it. And I'm like, Mike, you're a really funny guy. Why don't you just get on camera and, you know, show people who you are and talk about, you know, and just demonstrate yourself. And then he was like, but I don't know. And then I was like, Mike, just try it. Just try it. Don't put any effort towards it. Just try it and see how it comes out. We did the first one. And I think that as time went on, he started becoming more and more comfortable. And then it started to really take off. So because Mike is like a free person when it comes to making his own ads and getting attention. And this is the best thing about it, is that you can be as creative as you want. So one of the things that he did last year when we first started this was like, he's like, I just got finished doing 25 push-ups, but that's not important. And that was his hook. And then he starts talking to the camera about, you know, the types of services that he has.
Yeah.
And it was just funny. And it was, and the greatest thing about that is that when he was telling me this, when he went into public and he was talking to people, that they would recognize him based off the funny ads that he would make. And then years later, they would remember that one ad and be like, oh, let me call Mike. And then he'll have leads that just come in from seeing his ad from last year. So it's like a round circle thing. And this goes back to the more people that know you and remember you for something, the more business you're going to make, because you're leaving an impression on them.
Exactly. I tell guys, and it took me a while to learn this, and I still struggle with it, is, you know, people connect with people. They don't connect with pictures of your kitchens. They don't connect with job site photos. they connect with you. So the more that you show yourself, the more connection you're going to get, the more that you're in your ads, the more that, it's not about showing a before and after finish of kitchens like you see on TV. People aren't on social media to see pictures. I mean, they are, but when you're trying to create that connection, they want to see someone. They want someone who to connect to. You want in front of the camera, not behind the camera. And that's one that, I mean, even to this day, I'm not the best at. I'm always trying to get better at it because I hate cameras. I'm not a big fan of pictures, but everyone's like, my mentor, who, my mentor is always like, get in front of the camera. My social media, I've got a girl that helps me with social media. She's like, I need more videos of you. Get in front of the camera. Get in front of the camera. And I'm like, dang it. I always hate that part. But, in this world, I think that's when you're a service-based business, which is what we are. You're selling hours. You're selling yourself, your skills. People want to know who's behind the voice.
Yeah, people at the end of the day are not buying the product, they're buying you. So whenever you're afraid to run the things that you want to do, like I've talked to so many people within this industry, and the number one thing that they struggle with is the videos. So, or they don't want to do it, or they don't trust it, or they've seen so many ads telling them this, and that. At the end of the day, if you want the projects that you want and you want to be able to charge the money that you want, you have to be able to present yourself in a way that's different from everyone else within your ecosystem.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when you recognize that you can present yourself differently, you will make so much more money.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I mean, you've got to you set yourself apart from the crowd. You can't be like everybody else. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about return time. I hear that a lot too. Like, guys, in the community or people that I talk to, even myself, I've run ads, and, what is the average, let's say, time to actually see an ROI? Is it 30 days, 60, 90, 6 months, 1 year before you actually start seeing that return come? And then maybe segue that into average investment versus lead return of what these guys can expect, so they know how much they need to set aside to start it.
When you are first starting out with social media paid marketing, you can't start with just $500, in my opinion. Like, if you really want to grow, you have to be able to spend at least $1,500 max if you just want to start off. $1,500. And what that correlates to is $50 a day in marketing spend, right? So if you're able to put $50 out into marketing spend and realize that you're just getting more reach within your area rather than the strategies that you're currently doing with Angie's List or Home Advisor, you're going to understand that these leads are not things that you're competing with or competing for. It's just leads that are coming directly to you. And these are people that just want your services as well. So that's what I would recommend for starting. And then in terms of ROI, it just comes down to the process of how you can close. So we have our process set up where we set up your automations, your landing page, your ads, but the ads have to be something that you have to do. And this is the thing that sometimes takes these business owners specifically the longest amount to do, because they either are like, oh, I don't know what to say, oh, I don't know how to present myself, but I give you the script on what to say. You just have to put your little, pizzazz on it with your personality, because I can't control that. But once you do that, that's the main point that will allow us to drive more traffic in at a lower cost. So let's say you want a $20 cost or $30 cost per lead, right? Then you need to make sure that when you're speaking to the camera with your ads, that you're getting your point across very effectively and fast, and doing something that's different than everyone in your local area. So that when you start getting leads, let's say it's $30 a lead, right? Or max I've seen is like $50 a lead. That would mean 1,500. Let's do it at the max level. That's 30 leads. And then let's say you have a 20% close rate. So times 0.2, that's 6 new jobs. And then let's say you charge at an average price point of,
I'd say figured about 5,000 a job
okay, 5,000 a job. That's $30,000 right there.
a month.
That's 30 grand. That's 30 grand a month.
30 grand a
revenue.
month, and it just cost you $1,500.
Yeah, $1,500 of ad spend. That's what it costs you. And then you have to make sure that you have your system set up. So I'm not just saying that like running the ads by itself and then that happening. It's your systems behind what happens once a lead comes in. So something that I've seen that works really well, especially with, Mike, and I have a few other different people within this industry, is that we'll send them a text as soon as the lead comes in, and we'll ask them to send us a picture. Like I have a guy that does pressure washing. Send us a picture of your driveway so we can give you an estimate and call you. And then for Mike, it's the same thing. Send us pictures of your kitchen. But you don't give them the estimate over text. What you do is you allow them to send you the pictures. And then after they send you the pictures, you schedule a call with them. And then you give them the estimate. You never tell them over text.
There you go.
If you tell them over text, they're just going to be like, oh, I don't know. But then you don't know what they're thinking about.
Yeah, it can be hard to close that way. I mean, that's hard to close a sale when you're not, in front of them. One, there's no pressure on the phone to get off. I mean, through text, they can be like, okay, thanks, and then delete everything because they have a price.
That's like the main thing that it would be when it comes to that, because you need to make sure that your systems are tight if you're running ads. Because if they aren't, then you know what? The only person to blame is not me, because I'm the one who can set up the automations for you, but I'm not going to be the one calling the leads for you, So I have the systems down as to what works and what doesn't. We spent over 80 grand already, close to over 100 at this point, figuring this out for the last 2 years. And now we're getting to a point where we're starting to spend about $2 grand a week. So that's like $8,000 a month. And just recently, in the worst time of the economics of this country, Mike and all my other clients have had the highest amount of return for their business. Like it's insane, because these people, one, they want to save money. Two, a lot of people are moving out of their house, so they want to increase the value of their home. And the way that they know to do that is to do their kitchen and to make sure that the renovation goes up, so that if they want to sell, they can sell it for a lot more. So all these things, Mike hit $133,000 last month.
I know, we were talking about that.
It was absurd.
That's
so
insane.
Yeah. So it's literally just understanding that you have to be able to be different than your market. And if you can do that, you will beat literally everyone. No one is going to be able to do the crazy things that you do and be willing to do that and put themselves out there as much as you do, if you want to grow and get to the next level that you want to get to.
Yeah. I was also talking to Mike about he's got an office gal, whatever, that takes care of scheduling appointments and all that stuff. And she schedules through your funnel system that you have. And we'll kind of hit on that here in a minute, but they go to her and she schedules the on-site estimates, or, I think he goes and meets with them, and she schedules all that. And I think he was telling me that every job that they close that she scheduled, she gets a very small percentage of.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a flat rate or if it's a percentage, but essentially it's a commission.
Yeah.
And said that she makes her normal pay for running the office, doing all the book work and paperwork and all that, all the office work. But for every appointment that the sales team closes because she scheduled, she gets a small percentage. And he said she is a machine. Like those leads, his system, his process has put her in charge of that and put her in control, and she will not let one get through the crack. I mean, she's like record, and then she'll go back through. He said if we're slow, she'll go back through all the ones that haven't closed that she scheduled. She'll call them and ask them if they've had it done, and if not, you want to schedule another one, or are you ready now? And she'll go back and try to get them on the hook again and try to close them. And I'm like, man, that's pretty smart. Like, I mean, that's a good process to have someone that does that and let them be responsible for it. I mean, that's what people want. I mean, give them a little bit of love if they get the job, per se. And he says it works amazing.
Yeah, it does. And the reason, so a lot of people are going to be like, well, I don't have an appointment setter with that point you just made, right? So if you don't have an appointment setter, you don't need to be at that point until you at least are, I would say, around like 50 to 60 a month, because then you can start paying them as a full-time person rather than just part-time, because then their energy will be elsewhere instead of just fully paid attention to your company. So I think that with these people that want to get these leads in and they're like, oh, well, I don't have time, I'm always on site, right? That they need to find someone that can call the leads as soon as they come in to schedule them an estimate or put together an estimate so that you can call them as the business owner and close them on the deal in the beginning until you get to a certain level. That's like the main way that I've seen it whenever you're just starting out. But yeah, in terms of like, if you're over that mark and you can get an appointment setter and someone to do these things for your company, then that's just going to blow you through the water, because you have someone just dedicating their energy and time directly on the leads and nothing else. Like, they're paying attention to nothing else besides getting appointments made.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I've seen some guys, and my mentor uses one. Is, I don't know if he does it through Fiverr or how he found her, but she's like a remote digital receptionist or digital assistant. And she schedules all his appointments for him. And I mean, he's been trying to push me that away. I don't think I'm quite ready. I don't know if it's a control thing. Probably is. But I mean, I've heard those do really good. And you can get them, what do they call fractional digital assistant for not a ton of money. If you're in that gray area, if you're still on site and you need someone to filter all those because you're still rolling walls, then, maybe it's worth setting aside $100 or $150 a month to get a digital assistant that can help you book those leads for you.
Yeah, because you can always get someone overseas as well. So in the beginning for super cheap, and that'll help you in the beginning, especially if you're just starting out. But if you want someone like in the States that's around you, then I would recommend around that revenue point.
Yeah, around that 50, 60K a month.
For sure.
So let's hit on how your funnel system is. What are you doing that's making you unique, Josh? Like, what are you doing that's working in the service industry so well? And kind of explain to the guys how it works. Your system specifically.
My system specifically is based off of things that I have figured out over the years, and I've seen a lot of different advertisers do get these types of industries just leads, but we don't focus on just getting the leads. You want the leads, but you want the system to close the leads, which is what's different than most people. And with the system is, once you come on board, there's a few things that the first thing that we focus on is your offer. So for Mike, right, we talked, there's this offer creation strategy by Alex Ramosi, and it talks about time delay to the outcome that you want. It's an equation, I forget how it goes, but that's the premise of it. It's time delay towards outcome and what you guarantee in the process. So the offer was, if you want your kitchen cabinets, all these things done, give us 9 to 11 days time period with a 5-year warranty as a guarantee. And if you need financing, we can finance it for you, and we can get this done. And then he focuses on getting it done to 9 to 11 days, because with these projects, people can take a while, and most of these homeowners want you to be in and out. So if you can get the job done very efficiently and be in and out, that's the most important thing. So that was the offer. It's the first thing. Then what we do is we construct a video. And you don't need a professional video to be done for these ads. You just need it to stand somewhere inside your warehouse while you're having your finished product there, and you're showing people what you've done rather than just like taking a picture of the final result and putting your personality there. That's the second thing that we focus on. We talk about how to become very comfortable in front of a camera, because this is what's going to allow you to scale your business when we have the whole system set up, right? So ads is now covered. Then we go and talk about your landing page. Where are we going to send traffic to from the ads? Okay, traffic is going to come from this ad to this landing page, and this is what they're going to do. They're going to fill out their name, email, phone number, and then they're going to choose the service that they want, right? Now that they chose the service that they want, now what do we want the next step to be? Okay, after they tell us what they want, now we want to see what project we're going to be working with so that we don't have to be on site to know if this is going to be a manageable project for us, right? So the consumer now has to send you pictures of their kitchen or roof or whatever it may be in whatever industry you are. And then you can have an estimate prepared and be able to schedule them for a call in order to close the deal. That system by itself, on top of all the automations that we set up, and there's a few that we set up, right? To remind them if they don't respond off the first text. We have all these automations set up, and it's about the system that we put in place that is very effective versus what all these other marketing companies do. You don't just want the lead. You want the system to close the lead, which is what's going to nurture them to be more comfortable with moving forward with your company rather than your competitor in your area.
I mean, it's interesting. I like it because if you relate it to, I'm very big on systems in the finishing world. You've got to have everything written down, SOPs. It's got to be repeatable if you want consistency. And you don't think about it, but I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, what you're saying is you've got to have systems in place and not just a phone call or someone DMing you saying, hey, I need a quote. You need systems in place and department of redundancy departments that catch you because, I mean, we're people. We forget. I can go through my text right now and probably tell you I forgot to text back like 6 or 7 different people. Having the systems in place that remind these guys, hey, you didn't respond to them. Go get on it. That's pretty invaluable. You saying that, I've never really put it together, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And that, I would say that's like the most number one thing that's ignored. But what's interesting is that most people don't even care about that. I'll tell you why people don't care about that. Let me elaborate. When I was marketing my offer towards this industry and I was talking about all these systems and things like that, my cost per lead was stupid high because people in this industry don't care about that. They just want the result, right? So then when I changed my offer to me getting you 40 new renovation projects, everyone started DMing me, calling me, and then we started working together after that. But it was the premise that when you market the things that people don't care about, then you're not going to get the result that you want. So once they get on the call, then you present all the ideas of why this is important for them to focus on rather than just marketing what they have to do to get the outcome.
So, I mean, that's where it kind of leads to, you see guys out there, and I mean, ads are crazy for leads right now, of finding out, honing in that offer, I guess is a better term I'm thinking of. Like, you've got to really think and work with you about the offer. Like, what do customers want on cabinets? Like, what are they looking for? And like you said, Mike's got a great offer, and that may not be your offer, but you've really got to focus on that offer and hone in and make sure, like you said, make sure your offer's doable, one, but also make sure it's what people are going to respond to.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like the most important thing that most people will try to ignore and just be like, I just want the ad. Just give me the ads. The ads is just to get the traffic. It's what happens after the lead comes in. That's the important part. So if they want a really sustainable system, we've tested already over close to 100 grand. So I'm sure I have this dialed in by now. And especially the way that I communicate with my clients, asking what things would be improved within their process and systems in order for me to help them, is something that we've tested over the years, especially when I was working in the last agency that I was at. Like, I've just seen this come countless times, being able to respond to people and send automations to people reminding them that they have to communicate with the company in order to get the close.
I mean, that's a lot of good information. And I mean, so do you primarily focus, is your system primarily focused for service based, or do you do products as well?
So I do products as well. The system for products is a lot different than services. So I'll just give you a little distinction between the two. So if you're trying to sell products, then what you need to be strictly focused on is content. Because the way that you're branding your products is what's going to have people come and buy from you. So if you're just focused on getting the product and then not doing anything with it and just trying to run ads, that's going to be a very costly way of doing things in the long run. So that's the number one thing when it comes to products, because I have clients that are in the e-com as well. And the number one thing is that they can't keep up with their content. They want to scale. Well, we need content in order to post to your social media, and two, that we need as new ads to run, especially if you're running at a high budget. You have to keep rotating through creatives.
Yeah, you can't keep using the same ad. You've got to have new content. So I did a couple years, almost 3 years with a manufacturer. We manufactured coatings and we sold them. And that industry, it's a struggle. I mean, because when you're focused on manufacturing and adding distributors and making sure you're putting out a quality product, and then you add content on top of that, it's rough. I mean, it makes it very hard. So I would say that's a good tip for the manufacturers out there that are selling products. Even if it's a part-time, you need a person, even if they're part-time and they're just a content guy, or you hire them to come out twice a week to run content, to get content to send to you. It's a very crucial role in today's world, is you got to have someone constantly creating content and original content, not just resharing other people's content. That's important and good to do because it helps your brand and creates brand loyalty to the people that are using it. But the new buyers out there want to see original content. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, that is safe to say. I 100% agree with that. And I'm not saying it's easy either though, right? Because it's very hard to keep
There's nothing about this business that's easy.
Yeah. It's a constant cycle of just posting, being consistent with getting your name out there. And even if you're a business owner, like podcast is like the most important thing to get, your things out there, which is why these things are so important, because you're sharing a side of yourself that people can't see, and you're giving value away. So like that's the number one way that business owners themselves can make content, to have a digital resume on their page. Because the number one thing when you're running paid traffic, where do people go? They go to your social media. They go to your YouTube. They check out all these things about you to see, hey, what else is this guy about? What makes him so special? So, it's in the product world, it's the same thing as the business world. You got to keep putting yourself out there. You got to be different. And you have to show what benefits you have versus your competitors. Like, what is it that makes your message speak in a different light than all the other thousands of ads out there?
Yeah, there's a ton of ads out there. I mean, it's depending on what you're searching, and the algorithms change too. I mean, I don't know anything about that. I mean, all I know is, I try to grow my content a lot. I'm trying to post, I yet to figure out the magic number to grow your content and how to blow up. That was the other thing that I was going to ask you, is like, is there a secret sauce? Like, is there a secret recipe to going viral? Like, or, I mean, is there really an algorithm, or is it just plain dumb luck?
I think that it's the way that you construct conversations when it comes to post edits. So my thing that I like to do is, let's say after this podcast, right? you send me the full thing and I start clipping it so that I can share this message that we both have, right? What I'll do is I'll construct the conversation with my post with my editors to have the main points in rather than the entire conversation, because I want to make sure that I construct it in a way that I keep people's attention and I speak in a way where I can keep their attention, because everyone's like TikTok brain today, right? You know, they're just swiping. Their attention is gone.
The minute videos, I'm struggling with that on the podcast. I'm trying to get away from the minute 20 clip videos and trying to keep it under 30 seconds, because I feel like that's all the attention you can get.
That's all I focus on, is getting the main points of what I'm saying and constructing in a way that's easy for someone that's viewing my Instagram to see it clearly and thorough. Because I'm explaining things in depth here, right? And if they want to see that, they can come on the podcast and they can look at that. They can look at the way that I'm speaking. They can look at all the different things that I'm saying on this podcast and giving away value for free, right? So that's a different story. If they are going and watching this podcast, then you have their attention. Like, there's something that you said in a clip that got them to come to see the full version. So it's just about getting the main points across and constructing it in a short way so that they can just come through and be like, damn, that's a good nugget. That's a good nugget. That was a good nugget. And that's like 30 seconds, 20 seconds. You
gotta
know?
find those good nuggets. That becomes difficult. Yeah. Well, I know we're wrapping up. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but if you've caught in any of my podcasts, I know you're a busy guy. One thing that I like to do is I like that connection, and I like the community to connect. So what is Josh outside of running the company? Like, what's something about us about you that might surprise my guys?
Like something that I just do in my free time?
Yeah, free time, but something that you wouldn't expect. Like, we talk to you, you do a lot of work. Like, what's a like, now I would have never saw that. One guy was a coatings manufacturer company and loves to take pictures and cut flowers. I think everybody's like, what? Like, loves flowers.
Yeah.
I mean, like, kind of creates that connection. So what's something about you?
I like to build Legos.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Like the crazy,
like just a big Lego. Like, you give me a big Lego, I'll build it. I'll just take 2 to 3 hours of my day and I'll just sit there and I'll just put it together.
Directions or no directions?
I could sometimes free master it if I want to, and I just think of something out of my head and I just boom, 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 and I'm just there, you know?
Okay, that's a good one. I like that. So, and you're out in Miami. So what about, what do you do when you're not working? What's, besides, I want to say wasting, spending like 3 hours on Legos, but
Honestly, sometimes, so this is actually kind of funny. My mentors, sometimes we'll play video games together. Like, we'll just, like, as friends, we'll just play games together and just, shoot people in games and talk about business.
The other guy's your competition, the other team.
Yeah. Or sometimes I like to just kick it back and smoke a cigar.
Oh, yeah. I love me some good cigars. What's your go-to?
Fat Blue Bottom Betties.
Fat Bottom Betties, the FBBs, baby. I buy those things by the case. I mean, my wife and I buy 2 or 3 cases out. I mean, I don't, people are like, I don't understand why you like them. I'm like, well, I'm not the only one, because I have to order them, because if I don't order them, they're out. But those Fat Bottom Betties, I'm telling you, those are,
they're so good.
Oh man, they're the best. It's like, go out and then dessert. It's like I try to explain them to people, tell them they're lightly acid dipped, and they're like, what?
They are. They're like so addictive. Like, after one goes out, you're just like, damn, let me light another one. Just cut up this one real quick,
I mean, you tell me, we're like, are you tripping? I'm like, no, it's not that kind of acid. God.
No.
People that don't smoke cigars, but anyone that smokes one is like, all right, I understand it. And I recently got hooked on, always been a bourbon guy, bourbon, whiskey. I still love my bourbon and whiskey, but it started giving me heartburn. So for some reason, this summer, I've been hooked on gin martinis.
That is so funny that you said that. I was just about to recommend you a gin.
Oh my God. Dirty gin martinis on the rocks, because I can't do the martini glass. Just this big of a guy holding a martini glass does not work. But I mean, I've been hooked on dirty martinis with gin, and I can't remember the gin that I've got back there. It's a new one that I just picked up that's really good, but never in my life would I thought I would drink gin, and I'll pick it over any bourbon or whiskey or scotch right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Gin is like I think it's like the most freshest type of alcohol in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a refresher.
I get it. You know, I would say 3 months ago, I'd have been like, dude, you're crazy. There's no way. It tastes stuff like mouthwash. My wife still thinks it tastes like mouthwash. She's like, you're just drinking mouthwash. And I'm like, no, it's more complex than that.
You put some lime in there? Oh gosh.
Oh, I've never done lime. So my wife bought these olives, and they're pepper stuffed olives. They have like jalapeno stuffed in them. So I just, on the rocks, and I pour the juice in there, a little bit of the juice, mix it up, and makes it a little bit spicy, and then drop a couple olives in there. I can drink like 2 or 3 of those. I love it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, hey, let's, man, Josh, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I think our community is going to get a ton of information out of this. I'm going to get your links down in the bio, down in the description, so people can check you out. If you want to get a hold of Josh, let me know. I can put you in contact with him, but shoot out your socials so everyone can go follow you.
Sick. So on LinkedIn, it's just Josh Ocasio. On Instagram, it's _Josh Ocasio. Ocasio, Ocasio. And then on Facebook, it's the same thing. But most of my work that's presented is on Instagram. And if you're trying to work with me eventually, that's one of the platforms that we're going to be working with. So it's best that you do have an Instagram.
I think good. That is a good point. We did not hit. Yeah.
And if you are trying to find me on TikTok, you will only see my past videos of when I was talking to females. So do not look me up on TikTok.
I can't. I've tried TikTok. I've played with it. I can't get it. I mean, like, I know a lot of people say that's how they've gone viral. I just cannot. I don't know. I can't jump on the TikTok bandwagon. Still haven't to this day.
Once you get viral, though, it is so addictive. I'm telling you. It is super addictive to just keep posting because you just have that momentum going, you know?
Yeah. Well, one of these days, hopefully I'll get there.
Yeah.
Well, man, Josh, I do really appreciate you coming on the Bearded Finisher podcast. Great conversation. Looking forward to doing some work with you. Again, you guys get out there, follow him, stay tuned for more episodes. Make sure you're following me on all the podcast platforms. Like the video, podcast will be coming out soon. And man, we hope to get you back on the show real soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the Bearded Finisher Podcast. We thank everyone for joining. Keep hustling, keep learning, and never settle for anything less than your best. Remember, the path to perfection is a journey, not a destination. Until next time.